Well, Mr. Galloway, isn't it that the elite corporations aren't even free market now? They've seized control of Airstrip 1, England, and the United States as an engine of global domination?
That's absolutely right. Military spending is the welfare of capitalism. It's being used war after war to prime the pumps of the big corporations. Some of the profits from those corporations goes back into the political system as recycled campaign dollars, and then the governments hand out the contracts all over again.
Well, sir, this year we had record numbers of weapons being sold to third world dictators, and in 5 years our government will then invade those countries, calling them dictators.
Exactly so. And we have a big arms fair coming up in my own constituency in East London later this year. And when it was last year, 2 years ago, and we turned up to protest, the government turned out an anti-terrorist order to blockade the area, not against the dictators that were inside buying arms, but against the peaceful protesters who were outside complaining about it.
Member
and as
Parliament...
you say, they will very quickly invade those countries, calling them dictators, having just armed them.
Mr. Galloway, we don't have a lot of time left with you. I wanted to get into any new developments concerning the neocons and their real profiteering from the war, and any new developments, because when you were there in front of the Senate, I mean, they looked scared. Did they expect you to come back and fight them, or did they think you'd just take it?
Well, the truth has wings, and God gave me wings that day. I was really flying. I know this subject inside out, and I was right, as was the anti-war movement in both the United States and Great Britain. We said exactly what would happen, and it's now happening. And since I was in front of that committee in Washington, some more brave American boys have lost their lives. Others have lost their limbs. And many, many more Iraqis have been killed. In the month of May, almost 1,000 people lost their lives in 1 month. And that's just the ones we bothered to count. The number of operations taking place in Iraq between the resistance and the occupation forces is now at record levels, just months after they told us that there was an election in Iraq and that was the beginning of the end. They've trumpeted the beginning of the end so many times. Nobody's listening anymore. In fact, we're in for a long, bloody haul in Iraq.
Well, that's
and
what
many
I wanted
more
to...
young American boys will lose their lives as a result.
That's what I wanted to ask you is, where do you think all this is going?
Well, I think Britain and America are sunk in a swamp. They can't go forward, they can't go back. If they withdraw out of the cities into the camps that they're building, the resistance will take over control of the streets overnight. If they stay on the streets, they'll be the target for the resistance. The resistance is getting stronger and stronger.
You know, Mr. Galloway, we're out of time. Can I hold you just a few more minutes after the break so you can give us more of your analysis?
Of course you can, sir, yes.
All right, thank you so much. We're really honored to have you. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. A big guest coming up in the third hour. Our government knowingly knew that HIV and hepatitis was in the blood supply and shipped it all over the world. Europe, Canada, and the U.S. Tens of thousands got HIV and hepatitis from it. That's in the BBC today. We'll be covering that coming up in the third hour. We've got Mr. Galloway for a few more minutes, member of Parliament, a man of conscience who we really appreciate joining us today. Mr. Galloway, during the break I was talking to you, you're about to collect on $600,000 from your libel slander suit against newspapers that printed these lies.
Yes, $600,000 to me and about, the best part of $3 million to the lawyers. So the costs and damages have been very great. Saddam Hussein gave me nothing, but the newspapers who alleged that he had are having to pay very dearly for those lies. And where I can, I will tackle the American outlets that are still peddling these same discredited lies about me. Unfortunately, these senators made their attack behind the cowardly cloak of parliamentary privilege. So I can't sue them for what they said about me. But I helped demolish it, I think. It was a house of cards that fell down with a bit of huff and puff from me. It all fell down because it was based on nothing at all. But a much more important issue is how we stop this disaster, not just in Iraq, but around the world. We really have to pull our countries out of this coalition of the killing, because it's making people all over the world hate us. It's damaging our interests. It's endangering our citizens when they travel or when they work and live abroad. And we really have to get out of this nosedive that we are in. So I hope that people will look at our website. That's respectcoalition.org, and will stay in touch with me. Send me, by any means, your email, gallowayg@parliament.uk, and I'll let you know when my speaking tour begins, the big cities I'm going. One of the main places where there's a huge demand is Minnesota, where they used to have an honorable senator called Wellstone, who was mysteriously killed in a plane accident, and who was succeeded by none other than the smarmy Norman Coleman, the man who chaired the Senate McCarthyite witch hunt into me, the author of the mother of all smokescreens. They said he was a presidential hopeful. He didn't much look like a presidential hopeful by the time I was finished with him.
Just two more final questions. We're going to let you go. I know you're very busy, and it's evening over there in London right now. Mr. Galloway, George Galloway, looking at this, you'd gotten to Iraq falling apart. The Pentagon's own P2OG documents, perhaps folks should send this to you, said they want to widen the hatred, cause more attacks as a pretext to invade more countries. Where do you see this ending, and will they go into Iran?
I think they're too weak to do so. I think the Iraqi resistance has stopped them in their tracks. Undoubtedly, they planned to go into Iran and Syria, for that matter. But I don't believe that the public opinion in your country or mine would follow them there.
But Israel doesn't care about public opinion. They're saying they'll go ahead and may attack Iran.
Well, there's an opinion poll yesterday in the British press which showed fully 86% of the British people would oppose an attack on Iran. So if George Bush does decide to do that, on this one he'll have to count us out.
What if Israel drags us in?
Well, that's a possibility. Israel might strike Iran. And undoubtedly they're trying to stab Syria in the back rather than in the front. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Well, I have another article. RAF bombing raids tried to goad Saddam into war. Times of London. They may try to goad Iran into doing something.
Yes, but people are not fools in these countries. They have their own sophisticated political class, and they know that Bush and Blair are too weak at the moment to launch any new wars. But we must keep them weak. If we let them recover their strength, if we let them off the hook, then they may well decide to start
We got 30 seconds.
War.
What do we do if the military-industrial complex carries out a terror attack to blame it on them?
Well, that's another very real danger. There's no way that we can legislate for that, but we must be on guard. We need a vigilant citizenry.
Unbelievable. Mr.
We need
Galloway,
a vigilant citizenry that's alive to all the tricks that these monkeys are up to.
I salute you.
Thank you very much.